Flying Foundation. My name is Chelsea Montgomery and welcome to my flying journey. Before I share with you what fuels my passion for aviation, I just want to say I'm truly grateful for this opportunity, and I really look up to I Hart Flying Foundation's mission and your vision and your uplifting social media posts, and also your desire to help women like me achieve their dreams. I'm originally from Bloomington, Minnesota, and I moved to Mesa, Arizona to attend ATP flight school and achieve my dream of becoming a CFI.
Looking back, I never ever thought that 5 years ago this is where I would be. I went to the University of Minnesota for entrepreneurial management, and while I was in college, my brother was actually working on his private pilot's license. So being the good older sister that I was, I drove him to his lesson and got to sit in on one of his flights. And when we landed, I was speechless. And not because I was really scared he was behind the controls, but because I experienced something amazing that I had never experienced before.
Fast forward a year later, my brother and I actually ended up soloing on the same day. And contrary to what a lot of my family and a lot of my friends thought, I was actually the one who ended up pursuing aviation rather than my brother. But when I was in college, even before I began taking lessons, I didn't have the funds to train at the same time and also go to college.
Since I didn't have the funds at the time, I decided that there was still something I could do to get involved in flying and make connections in the community. So I joined my local EAA, Women in Aviation, and 99's chapter. And within these organizations, I had a lot of volunteering opportunities, including setting up monthly meetings, working on home-built aircraft, and at the EAA State Fair booth, and my personal favorite, which is volunteering at the Girls in Aviation Day annually. I also arranged, which my brothers and his friends talk about till this day, I got to arrange a Young Eagles flight for my brother's Boy Scout troop.
What I really enjoyed about my volunteering in aviation was not only being involved in aviation in a different way than just flying, but also exposing the younger generation to experiences in aviation and inspiring them to take up one of these careers in aviation. But a problem that I saw among a lot of children and students and also parents was there's a lot of mystery on how to go about navigating the aviation industry. There's not a lot of resources out there, and parents are kind of confused about how to get their children in aviation. I noticed that being a vet and a teacher and a doctor and all these other occupations are talked about in public schools, but being a pilot and being an A&P and being a different career in aviation is not really talked about or that widely known.
In seeing these challenges, I really wanted to find a way to raise awareness and introduce young boys and girls to flying early on so that they knew it was an option for a career or a hobby. And while I was in college, I started a subscription box service called Glimsy, which was designed to introduce women to makeup. But when I was moving to Phoenix for flight training, I realized it was extremely difficult to run a Minneapolis-based business, and I might have to leave that chapter behind to chase what I was most passionate about. But my experience running a subscription box actually later helped me in starting a similar concept to introduce people to aviation.
It was hard leaving Glimsy, but for me it was even harder leaving ballet. I was a ballet dancer for 14 years, but I ended up loving aviation even more, and I knew I could only fund one. But I think it was a fair trade-off because I still get to enjoy flying through the air. After I made these decisions and decided to take aviation even further, I started a aviation-themed subscription box service called Skybox. Skybox aims to not only provide resources to families and parents on how to go about finding a local discovery flight or a Young Eagles flight, but it also provides lots of fun aviation goodies like sectional charts and little model aircraft and aviator pins. And my hope is that with this, it will open the minds of young children, especially young girls, so that they can dream of being a pilot like me. A trait that sets me apart is definitely my entrepreneurial spirit and my desire to combine that with aviation. In college, I got selected for a grant to go to Cuba, and talk to Cuban students about my experiences in aviation and my business venture, Skybox. And I explained to them that I think an entrepreneurial spirit and entrepreneurship is not so much a trait, but it's an attitude and it's a mindset that seeks out change. My ultimate goal is to use my entrepreneurial skills and my traits to start a flight school in Minneapolis. And this is unlike a lot of other flight schools because I want to target not only young girls, but also other minorities in aviation who wouldn't otherwise be exposed to aviation. And I want to do this by really having a strong outreach in local schools and offering reduced rates and also scholarships like I Hart Flying Foundation does to young children who have the ambition to fly but might not have the financial means to fly. I feel that I should be considered for this scholarship because in everything that I do and I aim to do, I want to strengthen the aviation community and truly just make it better than when I entered it. People say that there's a shortage of pilots, but I think it's more so a shortage of people who believe they have the skills and abilities to be a pilot, and I want to change that. Last month, I completed my commercial multi-engine rating, and I hope to finish my certified flight instructor by the end of September. I've taken out a loan to cover half of my training, and to cover the other half of my training, I do house cleaning and also demolition projects. During this unusual time, since I haven't been able to volunteer in person like I used to or train consistently, I still wanted to find a way to connect with aviators, so I took to social media and I started a blog and a YouTube channel to share my experiences as a woman in aviation. From my social media posts, people will reach out to me and they'll ask me, hey, how did you study for your instrument exam? Or hey, how did you fund your flight training? And I think it's just really great to see the positive effect that social media can have during times like this. Thank you, I Hart Flying Foundation, and to all the sponsors of the scholarship. I'm really grateful to have this opportunity, and winning will not only help me pay my loans earlier so that I can devote my time to volunteering within the aviation community, but it'll also allow me to pay it forward and allow others to feel their passion in aviation and see that the sky is never the limit.